Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. He's now on the famous lobby cam. The judge met with President-elect earlier today. He was at Trump Tower to give Donald Trump, as I'm told, some advice on his pick for the open seat in the Supreme Court. It was the judge's second meeting with him. So you got there, and what happened?
Well, you know, he's very, very affable and at times very humorous.
How would you describe the meeting overall?
He is concentrating on finding a nominee to replace Justice Scalia. He said last week in the next 2 weeks. I think it's going to be sooner. He's now.
Wait. You think he will pick the replacement for Justice Scalia within the next 2 weeks, sooner than that?
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if
you got that indication?
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an announcement as soon as next week, but he has given himself that extra week. He is looking for someone who thinks like Justice Scalia. And we discussed the type of things that animated Justice Scalia, his views that the Constitution's meaning was established and fixed at the time it was enacted and amended. It doesn't change with the passage of time.
Not a living document, as
Correct.
some would suggest.
Correct. That is the view of justices with whom he disagrees, like Justice Ginsburg is the prime mover of that argument, which President-elect Trump rejects.
And would you share with us just your thoughts on as you related them to him?
The list of finalists or semifinalists,
Are you on it?
You'd have to ask them.
Okay.
Consists of people who have serious track records of articulating views in an academic way about the law in ways that Justice Scalia himself did and in ways that Donald Trump said he would find somebody to do that. So he is being faithful to finding the type of person he said he would be looking for.
I'm interested in experiences, and I think our viewers are interested in experiences, especially it relates to the president. You got to the lobby, the doors closed. What happened when they opened?
I sat down in the waiting room, and then he came out.
He came out to greet you?
Yes. He said, I know you're not due here till 10 o'clock, but do you have some more time for me? I said, excuse me, 10:30. I said, of course I do, Mr. President.
What time was it then?
It was about 2 minutes after 10. So he and I were alone until about 10:30 discussing a lot of the things that you and I have been talking about now.
How did it start? What was his first question? Besides, how I'm guessing, how are you?
I don't remember what his first question was. He did raise other issues that I really have no expertise in, which
like
is
what?
Like the Russians and whether or not they were behind. He didn't ask a question. He
It was rhetorical.
Yes.
And what was the theme of the rhetorical non-asking of the question about the Russians?
We need to turn a new page in our relationship with the Russians, and it's a good thing that Rex Tillerson and I believe that we can negotiate with Vladimir Putin rather than keeping him at arm's length and treating him as a monster.
That's interesting. What else did he ask about or talk about?
The court itself and my view of his process and what they are looking for on issues like abortion and issues like economic regulation.
What kind of questions on those two things?
Well, we spent a lot of time on economic regulation because he really wants to diminish the gravity of economic regulations, not only for big business and for banks, but for mom and pop businesses as well. And I raised with him the idea that much of the economic regulation that he finds burdensome does not come from the Congress. It comes from administrative agencies that the Congress established, which is very difficult to tamper with because the Supreme Court has something called the Chevron doctrine, which we discussed, which basically gives deference and discretion to these administrative agencies to write laws, to enforce the laws, to judge whether or not the laws are being enforced the way they were written, and to punish people who don't enforce the laws. So they're acting as lawmaker, lawgiver, law enforcer, and judge in the same agency, and I think he wants to do something about that. That would require legislation from Congress and a court willing to permit that type of change.
How was his mood?
Affable,
You've known him a long time.
Yes. I would say ebullient was his mood. He took a number of phone calls while I was there, but he was truly a man in full and a very, very happy guy.
And how did he express this happiness?
By his tone of voice, by cracking jokes, by teasing people. He took some phone calls from people while I was there, and I knew who those people were, and he was teasing them about himself, about them, and about me. He was teasing me a great deal. What do you think he teases me about?
I don't know.
My height.
Your height.
Hey, Judge, come over here and take a picture with me. I'm going to sit down and you'll stand up because this is the only way you're ever taller than I am when I'm sitting down. Thus saith the man who will be the president in 3 days.
We have to continue this.